Hey there, and welcome. If you're the kind of person who loves to learn visually and efficiently, well, you've landed in the absolute perfect spot. Today, we're diving into something we see every day but rarely stop to think about: the sheer scale and mechanics of massive numbers. In this explainer, we're not just staring at long strings of boring digits. No, we're going to break down how to actually read them, how different cultures make sense of them, and honestly, how to make them highly practical in our daily lives. We've got a great straightforward roadmap today. First up, tasting a lock varieties. Then, reading commas and place values. Third, Indian versus American number systems. And we'll wrap it all up with the power of approximation. Let's jump right in. Section 1. Tasting a lock varieties. Okay, so our source material kicks things off with a guy named Eshwarappa. He's a farmer in Chintamani, Karnataka, who's just doing his usual thing, visiting the local market for seeds. But while he's there, he overhears this absolutely wild conversation. Someone mentions that, historically, their country had about a lakh varieties of rice. A lakh? Farmers used to preserve all these totally unique seeds, and there's actually a seed bank nearby that has around 100 indigenous varieties right now. But honestly, hearing that word lakh throws a lot of folks off if they didn't grow up using it. So just how big is one lakh? Well, Eshwarappa goes home and tells his kids, Estu and Roxy, who you see right here, about this mind-blowing fact. And Estu, he's just floored. He's thinking to himself, wait, one lakh? I'm pretty sure I've only ever tasted like 3 varieties of rice in my entire life. This totally sparks their curiosity, and the kids decide to try and visualize this colossal number with a fun little thought experiment. Which brings us to a fantastic question for you. Do you think you could taste 1,000,000 varieties of rice in a 100-year lifetime? Seriously, think about it for a second. Let's do the exact math that Estu and Roxy did. Assuming no leap years, you've got 365 days in a year, right? So over a 100-year lifespan, that is 36,500 days. If you tried a brand new variety of rice every single day for an entire century, you'd only hit 36,500. Honestly, even if you ate a new variety for breakfast, another for lunch, and a third for dinner 3 times a day for 100 years, you'd still only reach 109,500. Only then, at 3 meals a day for a century, would you just barely cross that one lakh finish line. I mean, that really puts the sheer enormity of a lakh into perspective, doesn't it? Section 2. Reading commas and place values. All right, let's look at the actual math mechanics of how we get there. Let's set our baseline right here at 99,999. This is literally the largest 5-digit number in existence. You've got 9s maxed out across the 1s, 10s, 100s, 1000s, and 10,000s places. It is hovering right on the edge of a massive milestone. Now let's watch the dominoes fall. It's this incredible micro to macro shift. You start with 99,999, right? And then you just add one single tiny unit. Boom. That one tiny addition triggers this massive ripple effect of rollovers across every single place value. It instantly pushes us into totally new territory, the smallest 6-digit number, 1 lakh or 100,000. But look at the visual difference between the two versions of this exact same number on your screen. On the left, an unformatted 100,000. Well, it just looks like a giant messy bowl of zeros. Your poor brain has to actually pause and manually count them to figure out what it means. But on the right, it's beautifully formatted. Because as numbers scale up, they get notoriously hard to read. That's exactly why we use place values and commas. Commas are basically visual road signs. They tell your brain exactly how massive the number is in a fraction of a second. Section 3. Indian versus American number systems. Now let's zoom out to the global stage, because there are direct one-to-one equivalents between the Indian number system and the American or international system. Check out the top row. That 6-digit number we were just talking about is called 1 lakh in the Indian system, but that exact same value is called 100,000 in the American system. Move down a bit, and 10 lakhs perfectly matches 1 million. A massive 1 crore equals 10 million. And all the way down at the bottom, 1 arab, which is 100 crores, is exactly equal to 1 billion. And here's a pretty cool piece of trivia for you. The words lakh and crore actually come from the ancient Sanskrit words laksha and koti. But the really crucial difference here is the visual chunking, how the numbers are naturally grouped. In the Indian system, you group the digits right to left like this. The first 3 digits get a comma, but then it's every 2 digits after that. So it represents thousands, then lakhs, then crores. It's a 3-2-2 rhythm.
The American system, on the other hand, groups absolutely everything uniformly by threes. Thousands, millions, billions. It's exactly the same number of zeros, but an entirely different visual pattern for your brain to process. To help you bridge the gap between these two worlds, our source material gives us this awesome, surprising anchor fact. 10,000 locks make a billion. So if you ever find yourself needing to quickly mentally translate between these two massive scales, just keep that simple conversion in your back pocket. It's a total game changer.
Section 4. The power of approximation. Okay, so how do we deal with all these giant numbers in real life? The answer is approximation, or rounding off. Basically, this is just replacing a super exact messy number with a simpler approximate value. Why? Well, because let's be real, constantly dealing with down to the single-digit exact numbers is just totally exhausting. And most of the time, we really don't need that level of precision to make a smart decision or understand the scale of something. I absolutely love this quote pulled directly from a teacher in our source text. Efficient people deal with rounded off numbers. It is so true. Think about it. When you're coordinating logistics, estimating a drive time, or checking if your train is on time, you don't need to track the exact milliseconds or single units. Getting bogged down in all those minor details just slows you down. Approximation is literally the ultimate tool for everyday efficiency. Let's look at a super relatable example right from the source. According to the 2011 census, the exact population of Chintamani town was 76,068. But come on, if you're just describing the size of the town to a buddy, you're not going to say 76,068. You're just going to say, oh, it's about 75,000. That rounded number does exactly what it needs to do. It gives you a perfectly solid instant vibe of the crowd size without making your brain trip over those extra digits. And then there are times where it just makes logistical sense to round up, meaning you intentionally make the approximate number a little larger than the actual number. Picture a school principal ordering sweets for a big event. There are exactly 732 people, students, teachers, the whole shebang. They are definitely not going to call the bakery and order exactly 732 sweets. No way. They round up to 750. Why? Because it guarantees absolutely everyone gets a treat. It covers for unexpected guests or dropped cupcakes, and it saves the vendor from doing annoying, overly complex math. Wow, we have covered a ton of ground today in this explainer. From wrapping our heads around the sheer scale of a lock of rice varieties, to the life-saving magic of commas, comparing cultural number systems, and finally, the everyday superpower of rounding off. So I want to leave you with this one thought to chew on. What massive number in your own life can you round to the nearest lock or million today? Whether it's the population of your hometown, a massive company's revenue, or just the gigabytes on your hard drive, try using this visual chunking and approximation trick yourself. It'll completely change the way you look at big data. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me today. Keep analyzing, keep visualizing, and as always, stay curious.